Right, guys. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start with a question. Who's the first ever world champion of Formula One?
Fangio.
Uh, no, it's not Fangio. It's not Fangio. Oh man, where's Sebastian Vettel when you need him?
Alberto.
Who's that?
Alberto Peroni?
Who's Peroni?
Can't remember his.
Peroni. Peroni's like a beer brand, bro. In Italy.
No, man. Okay, stop making our names butthole. Keep going with on
Al-
Graham.
Alberto Ascari.
Sorry, oh
Named
crap.
after a corner at Monza, right? Some
Mate,
some chicane. It's
listen.
named after chicane in Monza, I think.
If you can remember that, but you can't remember the guy's name, then there's something wrong with you, honestly. But okay.
Hey, we're not 624 years old.
Beat is close. Anyways, guys, welcome back to Break at the Apex. This is the race review for the Australian GP, and we are back. How's it going, guys? You guys good?
Very, very good because of this.
Obviously, we have a lot to get into. I have two Ferrari fans right next to me. You know, I do this all the time. I'm supposed to be pointing that way, but got two Ferrari fans with me, and obviously it's been an absolutely amazing race for the Tifosi, because these two look very much like Tifosi, obviously, and we're gonna get into it. But before we get into anything, we're going to first chat about our one sentence race reviews or race captions. So I'm gonna ask Dirk to go first with a one sentence race caption, and I know it's probably gonna be Ferrari related, so go for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Go for
Absolutely.
it. Go for it. Go for it.
My one sentence race caption. The guy had his appendix removed two weeks ago. This time he was on the operation table, and all I have to say is, because he's a smooth operator. That's my one sentence race review. Smooth operator, Carlos Sainz.
Okay. That sounded like three different sentences, but it's fine. We'll take it. BT?
Just take the smooth operator point, okay? Trying to make a point.
BT?
Yeah, no, mine is not really Ferrari related. Should not make it that obvious. Mine says F1 is quite amazing without the Dutchman.
I made to that.
Oh,
It's harsh, but it's true.
it's almost like you've put a stake in my heart there. That's to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, but
What hard, Graham?
I don't know. Anyways, we'll move over to my my race caption, and that is Max DNF didn't matter. And we'll get into that. So before we get into the teams as such, or at least the points that I would like to go through and cover, let me just explain that part so that we can just get it over and done with. Honestly speaking, I didn't find the race to be that great. I feel like if Max didn't DNF, we could have had a proper fight on our hands, because I feel like Ferrari was the better car. But I feel like the race was quite dull at most moments. That's just my thoughts. So I just thought we'd get that out the way. But otherwise, you don't agree? You guys look very shocked that I said that.
Okay, I agree with you to a small degree, but in the bigger degree, okay, let me just explain this quickly to the audience. I watch the races a lot differently than most people, and for me, I love a strategic battle. For me, it's not always about crazy, insane moves. And honestly, until Oscar Piastri went wide at the penultimate corner, McLaren were properly keeping Ferrari on their toes. And yes, there wasn't crazy overtakes and everything. The midfield was sorted for that in any case. But Ferrari had no time with Sainz or Leclerc, to just sit back and relax. They had to constantly think about the two McLarens from behind. And the McLarens weren't, yes, the Ferraris were the car to beat, but the McLarens weren't half a second a lap slower. They either managed the gap or slightly started losing, but there was never a point where it was like McLaren is out of this. It was never that. If Ferrari made even the smallest mistake, Lando and Oscar were there to capitalize. And that, for me, made the race a lot more exciting than it would for most people.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. On my side, it was just, I'm talking from a point of view now, being a Ferrari supporter. It was nice seeing Ferrari not do any mistakes. It
Yes.
was the most cleanest race I've ever watched in my entire life, to be honest with you. They were on par with every strategy, they were on par with every decision, and it was nice to see Carlos not really dictating the strategy on by himself. But he just had to say one thing, and the team already knew what they had to do. So that was actually nice to watch, to be honest with you. And I'm going to refer to what I said earlier a couple of weeks ago, is that Merck should have watched what McLaren was doing, because McLaren has been awesome, and the McLarens now have literally overtook Merck's spot this season so far.
100%.
And I think Mercedes is probably wondering what went wrong, and the body language of Lewis Hamilton in the press conference is not a good thing to watch at the moment. But in the inside,
I'm not gonna lie, I love it, man. That guy doesn't.
In the inside, and maybe when he's talking to his good friends in the hotel before he goes to sleep, he's quite happy. He's like, "Damn, I made the good decision going to Ferrari, because what's happening now, it's just not it." But in terms of Ferrari, everything was smooth, and they took the fight to the McLarens. They took the fight to the McLarens, and they it's like, the Ferrari and the McLaren, par in terms of pace, they were neck on neck. But the way I watched how the Ferraris just carried themselves through the race, they actually carried themselves, that they were the more superior team in the race. So I think that's just made them gain points, or for them to do well in the race. That's just my end.
Yeah, for me, if I'm honest with you, I'm Dirk. I mean, BT will witness as a witness this. We've had this conversation before. I'm also very much a strategy guy. That's why when a lot of people say the race is boring, and I'm like, how was that boring? But with this race specifically, to me it was between Leclerc and Norris. That was all I was watching, really. I feel like Sainz today. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it already, but I made a little funny skit on TikTok where I was just like, no, this Ferrari dominance needs to stop, you know.
I saw that.
Because
I did.
I mean, obviously the joke there is just that, you know, everybody had a go at the Lewis era, and now everybody's having a go at the whole Max era, and FIA must intervene and what. Guys, Ferrari dominated this race. I'm sorry, say what you like. They absolutely dominated this race. I know what you're saying with the strategy. I did not once for a moment ever think that any McLaren was going to beat Carlos Sainz. I only thought about Norris maybe getting second past Leclerc, but at no stage did I think anybody was catching Sainz. Sainz absolutely dominated. I say Sainz and his team absolutely dominated this race. And quite frankly, I feel like, and if you look at practices, long runs, I feel like if Max didn't DNF, Ferrari had a chance to beat them on raw pace. Not by
I agree with you.
Yeah, not by luck. I feel like the pace was there. Yes, we know that Red Bull like to sandbag. We know that Red Bull are different on strategy. We also know that Max knows how to race, and we know that they like race trims on their cars. We know all of these things. I get it. But that Ferrari's race pace today looked absolutely... I mean, I don't know how much weight that guy lost with his appendix, but flippin' hell, dude, like that guy was absolutely ridiculous. He was super fast. He didn't put a foot wrong. I mean, I, at one stage thought Max was actually in that car, because it just seemed like a very Max-esque type of drive. Anyways, let's not harp too much on. We've got a lot of notes to get through here. So we've had a bit of a chat now about Ferrari, which we'll get to at the end again, where we go a little bit deeper into it. But let's just start off with the obvious. Max DNF first time in 40 races. That's quite an achievement from Red Bull, to be fair. To not have a DNF in 40 races and now all of a sudden have one. It's not great for today, but 40 races, that's a big number. That's a big number. So
True.
do
Very
you
true.
think I see BT obviously agreed with me, so maybe BT, if you have something to add, you're more than welcome, but this is more for Dirk because I saw him going his moves here, whatever. Do you think the race would have been as exciting if Max didn't DNF?
I think the fact that Sainz overtook Max could have made it more exciting, but the only reason Sainz overtook Max was because of the problem. I think if Max's car didn't have a problem, it would have been another Max domination from green lights to checkered flag. And like you stated, we know Red Bull always sandbag, whether it's preseason testing or just another weekend practice session. Red Bull always sandbag because they know they've got another 3/10 per lap in their pocket if they need it. And in the form that Max is in and has been in the past 3 years, I don't see Carlos Sainz, even if that Ferrari was on equal pace with Verstappen, and I'm saying I'm doing a lot here, and I'm not on no disrespect towards Carlos Sainz, but Max is functioning on such a level right now.
Yeah.
I think the race would have been fantastic if Sainz, by some miracle, passed him without Max's car having a problem. I think we would have had a good race, but I don't see anyone right now beating Max in that dominant car. I just don't, and I think it would have been another boring race.
To be honest with you, I hear you, but I think if Max was still in the race, I think strategy will come to play, to be honest with you. Because I do think that the Ferraris were very pacey. And if you actually watch before the race or before the race weekend, Ferrari tends to do very well in Australia. They have the most wins, or the second most wins. McLaren has 11, Ferrari has 10. So that circuit has always favored a competitive Ferrari. I'm not saying any Ferrari, but a competitive Ferrari. So I literally think that, yes, maybe Max would have won the race, but not with 20 seconds, not with 18 seconds.
Yeah.
I would think
No, that I agree with.
Would have been close.
I think Max would have won by maximum of 5
I do
seconds.
see that there will be overtakes within the race.
I
think that Carlos Sainz would actually
Yeah.
take the lead at some point.
So I agree with you on the strategy play, but let's be honest, and this is not a biased. I mean, you guys can be honest about this. As a Ferrari fan, just be honest. It comes to strategy play, Red Bull are just on a different level. They are just So
they almost never make a strategic mistake.
If it comes to strategy, Red Bull are winning. But this where the strategy comes to play is look at Leclerc and McLaren. Dude, Norris was supposed to come second. On paper, Norris was supposed to come second. So whatever they did, or whatever Leclerc found in that second pair or third pair of tires, it all of a sudden it just worked. It just clicked. So at the end of the day, you know, where the strategy play would have come in is if Max was still there could have been some chopping and changing in position, which could have impacted the understanding of like, oh, is it going to happen? Oh, can he stay ahead? So I feel like it would have definitely been more exciting had Max still been in the race. Whether he won or not, I don't think he would have dominated. I think maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds at most, maybe not even 10 seconds. But there would have been that change in position through all the pits, you know, where you would be like, oh, can he do it? Or is somebody going to try and pull off like a long one-stop stint, or you know, that kind of thing. So that was my thing. But like if I'm really honest with you, those sandbags must have been really heavy because they burnt his brakes. So anyways let's move on to the Red Bull voodoo show. They performed some rituals, and they decided that anybody that complains about how much of a rocket ship they have, they don't finish the race. So basically, both Hamilton and George Russell, when they got passed by a Red Bull, were like, damn, that's quick. And both of them didn't finish the race. So I just feel like there's some ritual stuff going on here. And Hamilton and George both, no points for Mercedes, unfortunately. But all jokes aside, let's just get into it. Okay, let's cover the first topic. Let's just get this out the way. Lewis Hamilton, engine failure. Watching him in interviews,
Graham, your house is attacking you.
Yeah, some voodoo stuff going on.
We're talking nonsense now. Eh? There's some real stuff going on here.
This has to be on the podcast. Graham's house is trying to attack him.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm not. I'll tell you what. I'm not gonna cut it out because it's fine.
Some voodoo nonsense.
Welcome to the Voodoo Lounge.
Graham's ancestors are paying him a visit. Your ancestors are paying you a visit.
No, the Red Bull Ghost is like, you better defend us.
Okay, I might cut out this little bit where I was busy, but I won't cut out the part where it falls. Gents, as I was saying, let's just get Lewis out the way quickly. Suffered from engine failure. Not gonna lie, Da'o couldn't care less. In his interview, he was just they're like, so when did you know that you had a... Well, first of all, he knew when he messaged them to say that my engine had failed. But they're like, yeah, but when did you know? And he's like, yeah, well, but these things happen. And, it's okay. It's like, the Oak really does not care at this point. He's like, what? I'm out. Like, whatever.
Yeah, dude.
Look,
he probably has a calendar. He's
got those lines, like in jail. When you're sitting in jail for a year, you just... 111 strike. 111 strike.
You cannot wait. Dude.
And Ferrari's making it look like it's the right choice for him. You know what I mean? Like when I say Ferrari's making it look, I mean, out of all the years leading up to now, this year Ferrari hasn't really made any big mistakes. If you can't.
Yeah, the car's faster than last year's. It's better on its tires. It's just not on Red Bull's level yet, but the potential is there.
Strategically, they haven't made big mistakes either. They actually have been a pretty...
No, wait, the season is still long.
I'm just saying they've been a pretty good outfit this year.
Not that Mercedes' strategy has been better recently, let's be honest.
No, well, Mercedes haven't been doing well at all. I mean, their strategy's been off. Everything's been off for them. They're not getting anything right. But okay, let's move on from Lewis. We don't need to spend too much time on that because, quite frankly, no point.
Nobody cares. Not even Lewis.
But let's go on to the big topic, George versus Alonso. Whose fault is it? Now, you guys both seem to be a little bit blurred lines about it. So basically, I'll give you the rundown.
You get out your FIA document. Let's go.
Okay, so basically what happened was at the end of the race, obviously, last lap, Alonso was obviously trying to defend the line going in. But George Russell was quicker. So he was trying to be clever. As we know, Alonso, he was trying to be clever. So what he did was he took a slightly different line, but he slowed down earlier. So he braked earlier, and then he started coasting. He actually didn't brake. He just started coasting, but then he braked slowly. I can't explain it really, but it's in the FIA document. But
he lifted and coasted and then just tapped the brake to make sure the car turns.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what he did. And dude, like when I watched it, I was just like, yep, that's going to be a penalty. Because the moment, when you look at it from, like the moment I saw George's onboard, that's when I was like, this is going to be a penalty. Because George was like here, and then if you watch his onboard, all of a sudden in like a split second, he's here. And it's just like the guy, he had no time to react. He got hit with the dirty air and he just lost the car. Now, when they did the you go and look at all the telemetry and all that stuff, it kind of backs up what both drivers were actually saying and what was done. Fernando said, this is what I was doing. He didn't tell them thinking he was going to get a penalty. He told them this is what I was doing because he was thinking that it's okay. I mean, it's clever racing. Now, I know what you might say, Dirk, and I'm going to say I probably agree with you. Here's my thing. My thing is I agree with the penalty because it was dangerous. But back in the day, this would have not been a thing. And he made a good point. He made a good point as well. If there was no gravel, he wouldn't have hit the wall. He would have not been in an investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in two minds about it.
Here's the thing for me. I understand dirty air is a thing in modern F1. It's been a thing since like the mid 2000s. I get it, okay? But it's not something that the drivers aren't used to anymore. And here's the thing for me. If Russell nearly went over Fernando's rear wing, I would have been completely fine with it. But there was still a car and a half between them, and all of a sudden, Russell just decides, I'm going to go rally crossing. And I understand that's the dirty air effect, but it doesn't, 20 seconds when there's a car and a half between you and the driver ahead does not warrant a 20-second penalty for me. Like, honestly, if they tapped or Russell was literally, he needed to like hit the brakes to lock up or something, I get it. Yeah. But he wasn't on top of Alonso. He just had a little bit quicker closing speed, had a little bit of a fluster, and the next thing he was, 45 degrees facing left, taking a selfie with his mirror because the mirror broke into the car. So I get Alonso is guilty of it, and yes, it warrants a penalty because you're not allowed, according to the regulations, to just lift and coast when you are being chased by another driver. That is dangerous.
Like brake testing
but 20
almost.
Damn seconds. Seriously, he went from P5 to P8 after the absolutely phenomenal race he drove.
I don't disagree.
And with the awesome strategy that Aston Martin implemented.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that, but I will say that this, and the drivers know, is the new rule. The new rule is if you can't serve your drive-through penalty, it's at 20 seconds. But it's the same rule that they have on if you go an inch over the line and you get a track limit penalty, it's a full 10 seconds. Like you go that, I mean, we had that with Magnussen in the last race. There are some really harsh things that they have discussed this year which have become reality now. And I gotta be honest, it is harsh, but I do feel like in some way it may help the case. Like, I can't wait for Austria. Like, some Oaks are going to be sitting with a whole minute's worth of penalties. I mean, Ocon last year, if this year, like, it's going to go from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. And there's going to be track limits every single lap. So you're going to check the finish line. You're going to have to wait an hour to actually get the results. And it's going to be crazy. So I do think that FIA have become a lot more harsher with certain things. In a way, I think it's needed, but in another way, I think it's unnecessary. And I know that doesn't make sense. It's just, I understand what FIA is trying to do. They're trying to stop drivers from taking chances, which they do. But at the same time, for those who genuinely do it by accident, like, okay, I drove wide by accident, like, that's a harsh penalty for somebody that drives wide by accident. You know, for a guy who finishes the race and isn't able to get through his drive-through, added 20 seconds. I mean, that's a bit harsh, you know, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole further.
I also question Russell's decision making sometimes.
Oh, I always question his decision. I mean, his life decisions are terrible in general.
You didn't have to crash that car, but it's him, and it happened. It's a similar thing in Singapore as well.
Yeah, like, Russell is Mr. Last Lap Bottle, honestly.
Yeah, but his decision making is very poor, though. To be honest with you,
I quit.
I know what happens. I know what happens in his brain when he's actually chasing down someone, and at that point he's the more faster car. I know what happens to his brain. Does he think that maybe Alonso's going to move on the side and let him pass through?
So what I've learned about him is that he's in the most recent time, when he was in Williams, he was such a nice, likable character. He was a good racer, and you know he was a hard racer. You knew, okay, this guy has potential to be a champion. But the moment he stepped foot in that Mercedes, he became the most entitled little prick in Formula One. Like, genuine. I mean,
facts.
He just has. And I feel like he's got that thing where he'll just get out of my way. You know, that kind of Max, kind of like Schumacher vibe. But that doesn't work like that. And if you don't have a car like Max has, they won't just get out your way. You know what I mean? Like, Max has the type of car where they will get out your way because they know you're going to pass him anyways. Why must I waste tires? But he doesn't have that kind of car, so they're not going to just get out your way. So I feel like, that's just, it is probably partially his fault as well. And to top it all, Fernando got three penalty points for that as well. So that's quite severe.
Yeah, on a super
Yeah.
license, that's also pathetic. Honestly, and
I agree with the penalty. It is the repercussion or the is that the right word?
repercussions.
They
Yes.
are a bit harsh, but I do agree with the penalty. If I got to be very honest with you, but anyways,
I agree with the penalty, but not the harshness of it.
yeah. Well, that's kind of. I mean, that's what I just said.
Yeah, but I summed it up. You took an entire essay to sum up something so
Okay,
easily.
yeah. In that sense, yeah, we should probably not ramble too much. Let's move on to the next topic, and this one is a nice little. I mean, we don't have to talk too long about it. It's just a nice little feel-good moment for Stroll, Yuki, and the Haas boys. I really feel like it was a really good race for all four of them, and even though it was like nothing crazily special, because obviously there was a lot of DNFs up front. There were 3 DNFs up front, so all 3 of them gained 3 positions. But the fact is, they were there. They were there to pick up those points, and they did a damn good job. Yuki, to me, did an amazing job. You know, I've said this before. He's a qualifying specialist, and at one stage in the race, he was going backwards, but he somehow managed to pull it through again. And to me, he did an extremely good job to get back up into the points. And obviously, with Alonso losing some points, it pushes him into a really good position. Stroll as well did so well to stick. Obviously, he wasn't like, it's not like he was right behind Alonso, but he was there. He was there. He was in the points. He was ready to pick up any pieces if something happened. A very good race for him.
He did his job.
Yeah, he did his job. And then the Haas boys, I mean, what a beautiful thing. I mean, this is a team that most people pegged to be like the wooden spoon team of the year. And to be quite honest, they're doing some good things, man.
Yeah. Clearly, the changes that have happened, they are starting to show benefits.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I picked my top 5 prediction was Haas. So
Yeah, unfortunately, RB were the ones that were better. So unfortunately, you didn't win that one. So.
No, Yuki was better.
Thank you. Thank you
It's
for that.
still RB
Thank you.
though. Right, so
Thank
It's
you.
only
Well, we're not
half the
gonna
team.
no,
Where
but
we're
in,
not gonna
terms,
talk
in
about
terms of predictions, Dirk, are you gonna just give away a point like that? In terms of a prediction, RB were better than Haas.
Look at me. Look at me. We're not going to talk about the other guy. We end up fighting here. We're not going to talk about the other guy.
We can.
I forget it's not Ricardo. It's just Mr.
We can fully talk about the other guy. We can fully talk about the other guy. All I'm saying is whether the other guy was there or not, it doesn't matter. RB, the team, still was better than Haas.
Oh wow!
Just saying.
You see what happens? You see what happens? You thought about that the entire morning. You thought about that the
I
entire
haven't
morning.
thought about it once, mate. I haven't.
The entire morning, but it's fine. We can move on. We're not going to talk about that guy.
Nah.
I don't wanna
Hey,
waste
he
my
made
time
up
with
positions
that
as well. Hey,
nonsense.
it's not like he had the worst.
Yeah,
It's not like
we
he
don't
had the
care.
worst race. No. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Yeah. Let's be fair.
No, Graham, I'm not going to say anything. Dirk, say something. I'm done. I'm done with that.
I just feel
Done.
Ricardo is trying too hard. Honestly,
He is, but he said it himself.
Thank you.
He said it himself. He literally said it
Thank you.
himself.
I'm
In the
literally
interview.
disgusted, bro. I'm
That's-
like disgusted. I'm not even gonna go there. but
That's
I'm
okay. We
disgusted.
don't care really. But he said it in the interview afterwards. He was just like, yeah, he I don't know, something about him trying too much and pushing too much, and I mean whatever. I'm over it. I like Liam Lawson can come. I like Liam, so I'm quite happy for. But anyways, they could have done a Williams and just put him in like at the beginning of the like just after talking about Williams, Logan Sargent. What a great race, eh?
What a team play. What a team play.
What a team player. No, look, okay, guys. Honestly, no, we're not gonna talk too much about it. I'm gonna just say one thing. I get why they did it. I don't agree with it. I don't agree. I get why they did it. I don't agree with it. I just think that this is a confidence game. We've said this last week in our last podcast. We said the same thing. This is a confidence game. And the team just openly told Logan, we don't have confidence in you. So how is Logan supposed to build his own confidence again in that car?
And
But
okay.
they gave him another chance to actually drive this year. So it's up to him.
Nah, BT,
It's
but
literally
No, no,
you
no,
can't.
no, 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 no,
Nah,
no,
it's
no,
up
no,
to
BT,
no.
him. It's up to
BT, you
him.
can't. You
It's up to
can't.
him. It's dude.
Yeah, but
It's
give
up to
us a
him.
chance. We heard you say it's up to him 5 times. Let us say why we
Okay.
disagree. Okay. The issue
Okay.
here is you give a guy a chance because you want him to prove himself. How do you expect a man to prove him? Look at Daniel Ricciardo again. Let's go back there. Okay, look at Daniel Ricciardo. He got given a chance too. Okay, he's got given a chance too. He's bottling it. Straightforward. He's bottling it. You can see it all over his face. He's losing confidence again.
He knows he's
You
messing
can
up.
see it. You can see it in his face. When he talks, you can see it. He's losing confidence again. He's not going to get... Until he finds a way to figure this out, if he finds a way to figure this out, he's done. Like, you can't give somebody a car and say, we trust you, and then you don't give him the backup. You don't trust him. They don't trust him. They don't. How is he supposed to gain confidence? How is he supposed to find himself confidence if he knows the team doesn't trust him? It doesn't make sense. I know why the team did it. I understand that. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the fact that, okay, they came to an agreement that Albon is the better driver, and if they wanted points, he was the best chance at getting points. But if I was a team boss and I gave somebody a second chance, I would help that guy make it work.
Yes.
Because why am I giving him a second chance if I'm not willing to help him make it work?
The thing for me is, and it's again, it's nothing against Alex. Like, honestly, he's been driving so well the last 18 months. The thing for me is, Logan knows this is the season where he's either going to prove himself or he's out, just like Ricardo, just to have a reference point. The thing for me is, Logan isn't the one that put the car in the wall in practice. Logan isn't the one that made the mistake. And with the weekend that we had, obviously this wasn't predictable when they made the swap.
Yeah.
But honestly, and again, I know it's a very, very small chance of happening. But if things worked out correctly for Sargent, he could have been in the points. He could have been in one of those Haas's positions. And this weekend could have been the confidence boost that he needed. And Williams just robbed that from him, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get what you guys are saying. I mean, obviously we're going to look at things differently, but I get what you guys are saying. Yes, it was unfair. Team principal had to make an executive decision here, boys.
And I think
team principal had to make an executive decision. What's best for the team, number one. The faster driver is Albon. Yes, he did crash his car against the wall. That did happen. Yes, it's unfair. Like, I'm agreeing with you guys, it's unfair. But I'm also trying to look at it from another point of view. How Valve looked at it. It's like, okay, maybe we won points here. Do they get points in Bahrain?
No.
Did they get points in Saudi?
No.
They didn't get points in Saudi. So they probably looked at it as, darn, let's just do it. Let's just put Albon in the car. Maybe we'll get points in this race. And looking at the data from last year as well, they actually done well on the track last year.
Yeah.
They were within the points last year.
And Albon crashed it.
Yes, but he got points on Sunday.
No, he didn't. He crashed it in the race.
But I'm just...
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
That's why...
Literally, I think it was 8 laps to go. He put it in the exact same wall
what I'm saying.
Where he crashed in practice this year.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it was a bogey track for him as well in that sense. If he had crashed in the same place the second time in a year, like, you kind of think, okay, maybe we shouldn't put our eggs in one basket. But okay, let's move on. What I will say, BT, where I am sitting on the fence with this and where I sort of lean towards your side, yes, it's unfair, but it's Formula One. Sometimes Formula One can be unfair.
I looked at it like that. Like I mean, I was after just a short story for you guys. After my father passed away, dude, I was in a dark place. And when I came back to work, trust me, I'm really good at what I do. I came back and the passion was not there. The passion was not there, and I was not performing the way I was performing 2 months ago. And I was placed on a PIP. A PIP is you literally are looked at every day in terms of your performance, and if you don't perform better, you're gonna get fired. And I had to drag myself out of that. I had to literally I had to find something that in myself to be like, dude, you need to perform. So that's why I'm looking at Sargent like that in terms of this race.
Yeah.
Yes, it happened. The guys in P1 said, I think it was Matt, and he said, look, it's one race. There's 20, how many races left? 20 now.
No, 21.
There's 20
Yeah,
races
21
left. You have 20 races to prove yourself. Same as Ricardo as well. He has 20 races to prove himself. So I looked at it in that way.
Okay.
Basically. But yeah, that was my short story, guys.
Can you give Daniel Ricciardo the same grace then? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Let's
no.
let's move on. If I have to say this, I do understand and agree that, like I said, it's Formula One. Sometimes Formula One can be unfair, but I just wished it didn't go down like that. I mean, you guys know I like to have my fair share goes at Logie, but in this case, I really felt for him. But okay. Weekend to forget for Red Bull. Don't think we need to talk about it much. Apparently, Perez had floor damage. I don't know if I believe that. I feel like that's just them trying to show face for something. I don't know what. But Perez was absolutely nowhere. Like, the guy was absolutely anonymous.
But can I actually quickly raise a point here? We don't have to talk long about it, but I actually thought about this in depth while watching the race. I know it was only a few hours ago. Leave me alone. I had a hell of a day.
10 minutes
later. No. I'll honestly make this quick. So obviously we all know to get into F1, you need to be a standout driver in previous formulas and racing series. The one thing for me that stood out in the race, obviously we all know, even though Perez is not on Max's level, Perez is not a bad driver by any degree. Okay? I honestly think the only reason Max is doing so well in that car, yes, the car is good, but I think Max's combination with that car and the run that Max is on that I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I think that combo is the only reason Red Bull is dominating so much, because Perez barely kept up with the Ferraris and the McLarens. When he finally got through everything, he couldn't catch them.
Yeah.
Is that car really that far ahead in development as everybody says it is? Or is it just Max Verstappen being Max Verstappen?
That is a good question. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of Max fans will love you for saying that. Because it is an age-old question. Obviously, a lot of people don't really rate Max, which to me is absurd. I can't understand how people come to that conclusion. But the point is, though, Perez apparently had floor damage. So that would kind of answer that question. If it's true, makes sense. If it's a cover-up for something, then you could possibly be right. But that's...
But I still think that Ferrari can also be playing it down. I think Ferrari are close in certain circuits. I think Ferrari has. I
don't think they're playing it down at all. Ferrari, they openly said we looking to pressure Red Bull soon. I mean, that they openly said it.
No, they looking. They look like Ferrari looks very closer to Red Bull than McLaren closer to
the problem with McLaren is that we know that they've got big upgrades coming, because we know, and the thing is, we know how they could turn things around last year. What can they do this time around? I'm worried about McLaren. I mean, I'm not worried about McLaren. I support them technically. So, but
the thing is,
you're worried about your own grace, because then you have to choose between your two favorite teams.
I'll just be happy. I'll just enjoy life.
But the thing is, it's so funny because, I'm also worried about McLaren's, but also if you look at it, Ferrari wasn't at this point last season. They weren't this fast last season.
It was more like 2022, where they were actually in the fight for a while. Yeah.
And Leclerc is second in the championship, Dirk.
Pretty soon, Sainz is going to take that place.
Yep. Yep.
You spoiled the moment. Why you spoil the moment, bro?
Sainz is the guy. Okay.
I'm sorry. Like I have mentioned on previous podcasts, I've got nothing against Charles.
Yes,
I just like
agree.
Carlos
Anyways,
more.
let's move on. McLaren looking great as well. I think this track definitely suited them. But they are looking very good. I've got a cure. Look, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm very interested to see how the season unfolds with regards to upgrades and all this kind of stuff. Because between Ferrari and McLaren, I'm very interested to see how they close it, and if they can close the gap to Red Bull. I'm interested to see who's gonna do it first, and I'm interested to see how close the gap can be. And dude, like guys, just imagine, like let's say like the last 10 races. We have a straight three-way fight between these 6 drivers. I mean, that would be absolutely sick. But again, Red Bull also probably have upgrades, so we've also got to take that into account. So, I mean, yeah.
And yes, and Perez, if that does happen, Perez will become Mr. P6.
That's true. But I got one question to ask you guys. Do you think it was the right call to let Lando past Oscar? I know this might sound like a dumb question. I can't see a reason why they shouldn't have. But the reason I'm asking the question is because some of the presenters asked the question, and it brought up quite a debate with some people. I can't understand why it's a debate though, but I'd like to know your opinion. Should they have let Lando go past Oscar, or should they have let them fight?
Honestly, considering the fact that like I said earlier, McLaren were really keeping Ferrari on their toes, and I think if you let them fight, they would have lost that whole point of actually keeping Ferrari honest. So I think it was the correct choice. For me, honestly, I just never like it when that happens. Like even when the Haas drivers swapped, and yes, it did secure them better points. I know. For me, it's just like I want to see some drivers within certain teams just slung it out. And because I rate Oscar Piastri so highly, I would have loved to see him and Lando go for a bit of a battle. But I understand why they did it. They wanted to keep Ferrari on their toes, and it's an understandable choice. But it doesn't mean I have to like it.
Fair enough. BT, you got anything to add?
Very first time in history. I do agree with you guys. I mean, the swapping was strategic, of course, right decision. The only question I have is that why didn't they just swap him over afterwards if they could see that Norris was not catching Leclerc?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think Lando was definitely quicker, so it wouldn't make sense. I mean, remember.
I mean, that's why you went past. That's why you
remember. Not only was he quicker, he had the fresher tires. It was strategically planned like that. So I think it was Lando was always the lead driver from the beginning, anyways, right? So it's not like
the only reason they actually swapped places was because
the undercut.
Oscar actually grinded through his first set quicker than Lando, so they had to box him, and then he got the undercut. But also, I think even if they didn't swap him and they did fight, Oscar still made a mistake, and it cost him 4 seconds.
I mean,
so
look, I'm looking at.
The thing is, he was about 8 seconds behind Lando after his mistake. Then it's useless to swap them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it from a point of view that it's the guy's home race, man. So it would be a nice gesture, but
it's F1, pal. That's F1, pal.
Formula 1 is brutal.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure Graham is happy that Norris got another podium.
All day, every day. I would have been happy with either one. I like both them boys, so I'm definitely quite happy. I was also quite happy.
Longest podium streak without a win.
Most podiums without a win. That's ridiculous, hey? Most podiums ever without a win in the history of the sport. Lando Norris, can you believe that? It's probably not the nicest thing to have, but it's one of those bittersweet type of, like, it's a bittersweet record if you think about it, because it's like, it's a lot of podiums, like, but no wins.
Yeah.
But okay, let's get into what we've all been waiting for. We're not going to talk about like Alpines and like I've got bricks that can go faster than that. Like Sauber as well.
Sorry,
Sauber lost their nuts. I don't know if did you see that? Sauber I don't mean their nuts. I mean like their wheel nuts. Like, I mean they probably lost their nuts.
No.
Yeah, but okay. Anyways, but the point is.
But can I just ask something? Okay, is that Alpine really that slow? Gasly at a stage was like in P7,
Yeah.
actually sticking with
But he
the
had to
cars in
stop, though.
front. He was literally right behind Alonso and Russell on that whole thing. And yes, I know he's allowed to make a pit stop, but the gaps to like the RBs and the Haas and stuff was quite decent. 10 laps later, he's 20 seconds behind the car in P13, just chilling in P14. And I'm like, what the hell
No.
happened? Where did you go? Did you like stop on the side, have a quick fish
Yeah.
because I know they're close to some water? Decided, I probably have to finish the race. And oh crap,
Yeah, no,
P14.
they're racing a couple bricks at the moment. I just don't have time to talk about them really. So let's just move on to what we have all been waiting for.
Did they look at their budget and be like, you know what, guys, we can build a damn fast F2 car?
Well, I mean, they probably look at their budget and say, like, maybe instead of using bricks, next time we should use, like, retainer bricks. Like, they're bigger, they're bulkier, you know, anything like that. Or maybe they must use tiles, rather. They're lighter, maybe it'll work. I don't know. Anyways, let's move into what we have been waiting for. The conversation about the winners of the Australian Grand Prix Ferrari 1-2. Let's have a chat about this. First of all, we'll speak about old Charles Leclerc, because he's obviously the more inferior one to talk about here. So, and I say that with respect. He doesn't look as comfortable in that car. Hasn't all year really, compared to Sainz. He looked very good in the car last week, in Jeddah, but in Bahrain and in Australia, he kind of doesn't seem to look that comfortable in the car. And to be quite honest with you, I think he got the best out of the car that he could. I don't think he could have gotten much better. He did look to be catching Sainz closer to the end, but I don't know what Sainz was doing either. Don't know if there was back markers that he had to pass. I don't know. All I know is Ferrari 1-2. So what do you boys have to say?
PT, go first because I've got a few things to say, to be honest.
Yeah, no, look, I'm not really celebrating yet. It's only the first win early in the season. So it's a good result for the team. I mean, it looks like we are fast. I mean, we are best of the rest, in other words. And the goal is to catch up to Red Bull. And I think that's the main focus. The other thing is that I am glad that Hamilton is looking at this, because this is selling every decision he has made off season. He's like, I cannot wait to get to Italy. And it's working out in terms of PR for Ferrari, in terms of convincing Hamilton he's done the right thing, and Hamilton just to go on with his season without even worrying what he's going to do when he gets to Ferrari. It's a good thing. It means that Hamilton is going to get to the team next year with a positive vibe, and he will just continue where Ferrari has left off. In terms of Charles, for me, Charles, it was a bad weekend. I'm just going to say that. Graham, you are right. That car, he's not in sync with that car at the moment. He's doing he's doing mistakes with the setup of the car with his team, which is, I think Carlos is doing a better job in terms of that.
Oh, absolutely.
So for me, I'm going to be very harsh. I'm a Leclerc guy, and I'm going to be very harsh for this weekend. It wasn't a good weekend. I don't care if he was in the podium and he finished second. Yes, he was catching up later in the race, but we don't know what Carlos Sainz is doing during the race, and he should really, really think about how he's going to beat Carlos this season. Of course, we predicted that Carlos will do better in the car this season because we know that Carlos needs to sell himself to get a seat next year. And Mercedes, I don't know what's taking you guys so long. Like, just sign the guy. Like, I know, I don't know what you guys are looking for. The guy's like,
I don't.
Like the guy is there. He's there. Sign him and just move on with your life. But yeah, that's my take.
I'll be honest, man. I wouldn't be upset if Red Bull just took him, man. Stuff done.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I just wanted to say.
Me too.
Sainz is aiming higher than Mercedes.
Yeah, probably is doing that. Yeah, probably doing that. But yeah, that's me. That's me.
Okay, okay. Here comes the Ferrari passionate rant. Okay, first of all, Graham, I completely agree with you that Ferrari like dominated this race, like you when you opened the podcast. I agree with that. Even though McLaren kept them on their toes, Ferrari still seemed in control. It was just about are they going to mess up, and if they mess up, McLaren will be there.
Yeah.
Other than that, Ferrari did dominate this race, but I'm not going to go as far to say that one driver dominated another, but I'm going to say this that Sainz controlled Leclerc the entire race. Every time Leclerc would start closing the gap, Sainz would pump
Yeah.
in a quick four fastest laps after each other, 4 seconds. Cool.
Yeah.
So you could be comfortable and have Leclerc do all the work of worrying about the McLarens because, I mean, that was basically where Sainz forced Leclerc to be. And honestly, Leclerc for me is having the same experience that Hamilton is having at the Merc now. Now, obviously, we know Lewis. Okay, it's very clear that Lewis doesn't care anymore, but Lewis is struggling with the setup of the Mercedes, and Charles is having the exact same thing in the Ferrari. And I don't know why, but this year's car just seems to suit Sainz more, and now he's got time to really show his potential.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not going to be one of those people that says just because I like the guy, Ferrari made a mistake signing Hamilton over him. I mean, it's
Thank
Lewis
you.
damn Hamilton, 7-time
Thank
world
you.
champion.
Thank you.
But Sainz is making the best possible billboard, sign me, smooth operators advertisement right now. He's outperforming Leclerc. And I honestly said, remember what I said in my predictions at the beginning of the season? Sainz is going to beat Leclerc this season.
Yeah.
And the thing for me is, with all the contracts running out, I honestly hope he doesn't go with the whole Audi Sauber thing because then he has to be the leader of a team building itself up again. Yes, you can take a lot of praise in that, but Sainz for me is world championship material,
Yeah.
and I want to see
sure.
him in a Red Bull or in a Merc, or even if we get Carl Lando back and Piastri decides to bugger off somewhere else and McLaren are at the front, he needs to be in a top running car. He's proving it slowly but surely that he deserves to be there.
And just before you go, Graham, and guys, we can only judge, and I'm not saying this by being biased or anything like that. We can only judge if Ferrari has made a terrible mistake in terms of not re-signing Sainz and signing Hamilton after next year.
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at it. If next year goes horribly wrong with Hamilton, I think the people that will be doubting that move, I think then you can actually state your case after that season is done. But if that season goes well and Ferrari actually looks like they're even closer to Red Bull next year, and maybe 2026 they are the leading team, then I don't want to hear anything about Sainz, about them not signing Sainz or whatever. I don't want to hear that again. Like, to be honest with you. I really don't want to hear that.
Can I be honest about Sainz? I just had this conversation now on a TikTok live before we started. Sainz reminds me of the David Coulthardts, the Daniel Ricciardos, the Sterling Mosses, the Mark Webbers. They've got the potential to be world champions, but there's just something that they don't have, and they just never seem to get the opportunity to do it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes sense, but I don't agree.
For example, I'll say it like this. For example, Carlos Sainz is championship material now. Was he last year? Was he the year before that?
No.
Was he the year before that? Okay. Is it a coincidence that he gets pushed out of a team, needs another job? He said it himself this weekend. I'm jobless.
And it's not the first time, mate, bro.
It's not the first time. The last time he was in Renault. The other time he was in McLaren, and in his final year he pushed. All I'm saying is Sainz to me is the guy who's got the quality to be he's got the ability to be a champion, but I somehow feel like he's going to miss his mark every single time, because he's going to be the guy like Moss, like Ricciardo, like Coulthard, that had the ability but never had the right car at the right time, and when they did, they got pushed out for the right driver at the wrong time. For example, You can't say no to a 7-time world champion. Unfortunately, that's unfortunate for Carlos Sainz. If Ferrari goes on next year to have the best car, Carlos Sainz could have had a shot at winning the world championship. But because they put in a Lewis Hamilton, which arguably nobody in the world can argue with that move. You can't. I mean, I like taking the piss with BT about this, but you can't argue putting a 7-time world championship in your car. You can't. So that's an unfortunate case for someone like Carlos Sainz. I feel like he's got the ability to be a championship driver, but somehow he's going to miss that mark every time. But here's the bigger question, and this is where BT and I had a disagreement other, but I think BT, you weren't understanding my point though. Let's leave Lewis Hamilton out of the picture. Let's leave him out of the picture. It could be anybody. It could be Max Verstappen. It could be anybody. Is 80 million worth changing the driver that you have now that's giving you everything that you need? What more do you need besides marketability? Let's leave the marketability part out of it. But this guy, I mean, you paying 80 million for a guy that's going to give you what you're already getting.
Look, I'm just going to go before you. I just want to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Graham, this move and this 80 million, it's about Ferrari getting over the hump. Ferrari has not getting over the hump since when? Since when, guys? 2007.
2007.
Come on, dude. I think when Vasseur got to his interview and they asked him, dude, what is your 5-year plan for this team? No, I want to finish second after Red Bull. I want to do that. Yes, I want the drivers to be in the top 5 in points, finish the points within the top 5, and just be second in the Constructors' Championship. Vasseur's not going to get that job. The right answer is 5 years' time, I want us to win a championship, 1 or 2. We haven't won this since 2007. What is your plan for us to get to that point? We have the infrastructure, we're building stuff, we're optimizing the car. What driver lineup do you see? Which driver do you see that can achieve that goal for us? Lewis Hamilton, Verstappen, even Alonso. It didn't have to be, dude, guys, it didn't have to be Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah,
so we could have gone to Alonso and spoke to him. Alonso, we want you back. This is our plan. So this is how I'm looking. I'm not looking at them as them spending money and just wasting money in terms of a certain driver. They spending money on a guy that can take them over the hump. The same thing as Mercedes done in 2013.
Cool.
Same thing.
Yeah, Schumacher did the prep work. Lewis rounded it all.
Same thing Mercedes done in 2013. They paid Lewis Hamilton to go to Mercedes to change the culture and make them go over the hump. And what happened? They won.
It's about signing a world champion driver that can get them through the difficult period. Someone who knows and have been through it.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie, BT, that's probably the most intelligent thing you've ever said on this podcast. But
and let me add on. I'm going to finish now, guys. Do you honestly, and I'm not dissing Sainz, I'm not dissing Leclerc here. Do you think those two have the experience to take Ferrari over the hump, guys? Honestly, do you?
Yes.
I think so.
Sorry, look. I'm not saying. Let me hear me out. I'm not saying that they would be more superior than a Lewis-Charles combination. That's not what I'm saying. But they do have the talent and they do have the brains on top of their heads to get them over the hump. Probably not as quickly. That I'll be honest with. That is where Lewis will shine. But to say that Sainz and Leclerc will not be able to get Ferrari over the hump, I feel that's a bit of a low blow. And here's what I want to add about Sainz. Okay, I don't know what it's been, but ever since Singapore last year, something clicked within Sainz. Because after Singapore, that guy has been on a little bit of a let's destroy Leclerc streak. And I know the fact that he's advertising himself now plays a big role. Don't get me wrong. I'm not stupid. I realize he knows he needs a job and he doesn't want to go from a top team to a back market team. I understand that. But ever since Singapore last year, besides Sainz's pace, every time Sainz drives and he's got the potential of big points or a win, he turns into Alonso. He thinks so much on his feet and he makes such incredibly smart moves. Something clicked in Sainz after Singapore, and I think this is where I disagree with you, Graham. Yes, he does have Mark Webber, Coulthard, all those types of vibes. Every one of those drivers, Webber, I can still remember that race in 2011 at the Nürburgring. Weber outperformed Vettel completely. And everything was against him and he still won the race. The weather, the strategy, penalties, everything went against Weber. I don't see that for Sainz because honestly, I feel Sainz has got the racing brain to actually overcome that. I think if Sainz actually has a team behind him and he's not second driver, I honestly think Sainz can be a Leclerc, a Verstappen, a Hamilton. He just needs the right people behind him.
Yeah, my question is, number one, he's leaving Ferrari end of this year. I'm not saying, this is me just analyzing the situation. I'm not saying Sainz is not good. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. Number one, he's leaving Ferrari. Why hasn't these teams snatched him up already? He's performing very well. He's much better than Leclerc this season. We know why. But if I was Toto Wolff and I'm seeing this, dude, we're having dinner the next day with him and his father. We're having dinner the next day. Number two, wait, Graham, I'm going to give it to you now. Number two, I want to see if Sainz goes to any other team. I'm not going to name any team. But if he goes to Mercedes, Red Bull, or McLaren, or Aston Martin, those four teams, I want to see the same Sainz that we see now. I want to see if we can do it next year again with a different team. As Graham said, that there's a trend. Every time he's visiting a team, he performs very well. Once he's comfortable, he's blasé. I'm not saying he's blasé about it, but the performance is not the same.
The edge isn't there.
All right, let me close it off with my point of view here, Dirk. Just on what you said, that is why I'm asking if the 80 million makes sense to you. Is that I think that Leclerc and Sainz can do it if you gave them the car to do it in.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not saying that Lewis and Leclerc is not a better combination. What I'm saying is it's not a necessary combination. I know, I agree with BT.
Yes.
I know why they're doing it, but I don't think it's necessary. And again, whether it's Lewis Hamilton or anybody, doesn't matter who it is, 80 million is a ridiculous amount of money to pay for a driver when your current driver can do the job. That is all I'm trying to say. That is all I'm trying to say is I'm not talking anything bad about Lewis. It's got nothing to do with Lewis. It's got to do with how much was spent to replace a guy that can do the job. That makes no sense to me. But
did you ever think how much they get in return?
Yeah, I was going to say, but from a marketability point of view, it's day and night. From a marketability point of view, you slap Hamilton's name on anything and the Muller's coming in. That's just how it works.
And the funny thing, guys, I'm the one who's marketing it.
So am I, by the way. I have a degree.
No. It's in marketing. Stop it.
So am I, by the way, BT. I studied it. Okay. I have a distinction in it too. So, but okay.
Yeah, you're not doing marketing at the moment.
Bloody hell.
Life took a toll, but I can still, trust me, I still know a lot about marketing. But anyways, that's not the point. Okay, the point is that from that point of view, that's how I see that.
Yeah.
From another side of things, with Carlos Sainz, BT, you said, why hasn't another team snatched him up? I don't agree with that though. I think we're in a part of the year now where everybody is being careful. There's so many roles to play. There's 13 seats available. Everybody's trying to figure out what they want, who they want, what's next. Some teams already know who they want, but they waiting or they going, or they still talking? I mean, who knows? Alonso is still talking to Toto. Who knows? Like, there could be talks happening, but nobody knows. I feel like it's not that nobody snatched him up yet. It's that he also might have options on the table that he needs to decide on. I mean, what happens? He's got Aston Martin. He's got Aston Martin. He's got Mercedes. He's got Red Bull. He's got anybody he wants. Literally every team has a seat open for him except for Ferrari. Literally every team has got an open seat for him.
Here's the only thing I want to add on to that point. Again, also, BT, I completely understand your point. And yes, it does raise a few questions, the fact that he is not already snatched up. It definitely does. But if I am sitting in the shoes of Christian Horner, Toto Wolff, or Mike Crack for Aston Martin, because I think McLaren are pretty much staying the same because they've got a lot of trust in Lando and in Oscar. But here's the thing for me. If I'm sitting in one of those team principals' shoes, and I've got this prospect, we just talked about why Ferrari signed Hamilton. It's because of literally his resume. Let's put it bluntly. It's because of his resume. If I'm one of those team principals and I've got Fernando Alonso, maybe a Sergio Perez, who is more experienced in Sainz, unfortunately, I've got all these options and money is not a problem for me. Just because one driver is really starting to outperform someone that's usually better than him, because of the prospect of what I can obtain and the especially when it comes to an experience level, and you want to take a fight to a team like Red Bull that's dominating a sport, it's not a question of he's doing good, let's sign him. It's a question of this is not just a now thing. This is a thing for the future. And we all know Alonso is turning 495 in 2 days, and he's still driving like he's 22 back at Renault. Sainz is doing spectacularly. Perez, even though he's not, we give him a lot of crap. He's still a brilliant driver, and there's a bunch of young guys coming through the ranks as well that can't be ignored. That is why it is not a question of snatching him up. It's a question of, what are my options and what will be the best decision for my team long term?
I agree. Christian Horner, sign the guy up, please. Honestly, I mean, geez, that to me that would be a great team. I'm not gonna lie, dude. That would be a great team.
The only thing more mouth-watering for me than that
is Alonso and
Sainz.
Alonso and Max in the same car. Oh my goodness, Alonso and Max in the same car would be fire. Anyways, guys. Let's call it a day, and let's just well wishes on Ferrari, guys. I think that's been one of the best performances that Ferrari has done in a very long time. I can't say that I enjoyed the race a lot, but it certainly was nice to have something different up front. It's what did I said? Same taste, different gravy. It was still a domination. It's just a different driver, basically. But in general, I'm very happy with it, and I'm very happy that it was Sainz, if I'm honest with you. But hey, guys, before we end off, let's do our quick rate the race, and then we can call it a night. So, Dirk, we can start with you. Give me a rating out of 10 for the Australian Grand Prix, please.
7 out of 10.
Okay, BT.
7.
Okay, mine will be probably a 6. It's not far behind, but if you're a Ferrari fan, you probably give it slightly higher anyways. So fair enough on you guys. Well done to you guys, and well done to all the Ferrari guys and Ferrari fans out there. It's really good to have something different happening. But anyways, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a good evening. Cheers. Okay.